Hello my wonderful friends, welcome back to the channel. It's Evelyn here as always. Firstly, a huge thank you to all of you for continuing to support me here on my own little creativity corner of the internet. This week I'm doing something I'm very excited about and something I've been wanting to do for ages. I'm going to create a mock-up of the Charm Patterns Liz dress. I've made this dress once before, but yes, full disclosure my friends, I just made it without doing any fitting because I was far too excited about it. That, coupled with the fact that I've recently lost quite a bit of weight, means that that dress does not fit at all. So it's time to do a proper mock-up. So this week I'm going to take you along, talk you through the Charm Patterns Liz dress and the first part of fitting. Really excited about this, and I love the fabric that I've used for this toile. So let's get creating, my friends. So let's talk about the pattern. Charm Patterns offer both physical tissue paper patterns and PDFs, and because I'm a glutton for punishment, I chose the PDF and got printing. It's a fair amount of printing, and if I wasn't being incredibly impatient, then I would probably have sent it for AO printing, but it's a choice, print and stick or get printed and trace. So I got sticking, and here is my pattern. Size-wise, Charm Patterns is one of the most size-inclusive indie pattern companies out there, and with both size and finished measurement charts, choosing a size is much easier and more predictably accurate than some of the bigger pattern companies out there. I'm sure you experienced sewists know exactly what I mean. After perusing both of these wonderful charts, I went with a size 4 F/G cup. To create this mock-up, I headed straight to my fabric stash. I wanted to make this process as quick and easy as possible, so I chose this pretty polycotton fabric for my fashion fabric. For the lining, I've had this sheet knocking around the house for a while, and since we don't have any king-size beds in this domicile, it's time to repurpose it, one of my favourite things to do. Then it was time to get cutting out. I've decided that for this mock-up I'm going to go with a simple gathered skirt rather than the fuller skirt included in the pattern, because I only have 2.5 meters of this printed polycotton, and the main fitting that I want to do for this dress is on the bodice, so that's exactly what I'm going to concentrate on. The first thing I did was sew the darts in the 2 back bodice pieces. Sewing off the edge of the fabric at the tip of the dart before tying the ends closed for a nice, crisp, neat edge. I've sewn the darts using a regular stitch length as I'm not anticipating any issues with their placement or size, but the rest of the garment I'm going to sew using a longer basting length stitch on my machine and the pattern's stated 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. This will make it easier for me if I need to do any adjustments. Next up, pinning and then stitching those side fronts to the centre front piece. Time to join the bodice front and back together for the first time at the side seams. And you can already see the shape of this bodice start to come together. The legend that she is, Gertie also has an instructional video to accompany the Liz dress right here on YouTube, so definitely check that out. and you can find the link in the description box. Now it's time to start constructing those gorgeous shoulder straps that you can see here on the wonderful Susie. Beginning by joining the two front straps at centre front. Because I'm only creating a fitting model at this stage, I'm not going to fully create my strap, simply sewing a single layer strap for fitting purposes. Next, joining the back and front straps together at the shoulder seams, pinning and then stitching them in place. Now it's time to work on the cups of the dress. I love this design. It's one of my ultimate favourite 50s style dresses. It's incredibly flattering and stylish, and I've always wanted a dress like this in my wardrobe. Firstly, assembling the lower cup by stitching the two pieces together. I didn't find the curves on this dress too tough to work with, even though I am creating the F/G cup size. But be sure to take your time here, my friends. Carefully match those notches and clip into seam allowances if you need to make those pieces fit together lovely and accurately. And here is how those lower cups look. Time to attach the upper cup. And there are the cups. Having sewn a lot of seams, it was time to get some pressing done. Definitely do not skip this step, my friends, even when creating a mock-up for fitting like this one. Pressing those seams makes a huge difference to how a garment sits on the body and can make fitting and diagnosing any fit issues so much easier. And while that ironing board was up, it was the perfect surface to use to pin the strap to the bodice for the first time. Pay careful attention to the notches and dots placed on the pattern, as these tell you exactly how and where to attach the strap, guiding where your sewing needs to start and stop. Beginning with the front section, here I am stitching that strap to the bodice. Next, joining the strap to the bodice at the back of the garment, and this is by far the trickiest part of this entire project. Don't twist the strap at all while pinning and positioning it. Pay careful attention to the, as always, excellently illustrated and detailed instructions that Gertie provides. Hopefully also this little picture will aid you in your strap pinning endeavours, my friends. And just look at this bodice. By this point I was getting extremely excited. Even though this is technically only the lining layer and my strap isn't fully formed as it would be on the final garment, I can already see how beautiful this dress could be. Back to those cups. Now it's time to sew them both together at the centre front, pinning carefully to ensure that the seam between the upper and lower cups matches nicely at centre front. And even if I do say so myself, I was rather chuffed with my efforts. Perfect seam matching. Because I'm only creating a simple single layer version for fitting, I also decided to pin and then eventually hand tack the seam allowances down on the top of the cup pieces, so that when I'm fitting the garment, I can see where the cup would end. Now attaching the cup piece into the bodice, pinning it all the way along the upper front of the bodice, effectively sandwiching the strap in between the cup and lower bodice layers. Take your time and patience here to make sure that the pieces are pinned nicely and smoothly with no layers caught between your pins. Now that the cups are successfully inserted into the bodice, I hand basted the seam allowance down on the front of the strap the same as I had for the cups, to give me a better idea of how the finished garment would look. How great is this looking? There were giddy levels of excitement from me, I can tell you, my friends. I also quickly inserted an invisible zip by hand into the centre back. Although the pattern does call for a lapped zip, this is just what I had to hand, and I'm a sucker for the lovely neat finish that an invisible zip gives, even if it's not strictly vintage accurate. And now it's ready for a try on and fitting. Ooh! Okay, so I have my mock-up Liz bodice on. Let's get to fitting. Okay, my top tip for fitting is grab yourself a full-length mirror. If you don't have a full-length mirror, guess what? Give yourself a video in your mock-up. So, top tip, always wear the undergarments that you are going to wear with your finished dress, because this will give you an idea of how the garment actually properly fits. Very, very important. So, when you're fitting, you want to look for, is it too tight? Is it too loose? Basically, can I breathe in it, or does it fall down? So, having a look at this, and also, is it too long in the waist or too short in the waist? Looking at this, the Liz dress is quite a tight fitting garment, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm also really, really happy with the length. The length is perfect. So having a little look, I'm really happy with how the back looks. And I'm also really glad that I decided to baste the seam allowances closed on the top of the bust and the strap here, because it's really giving me an idea of how the garment fits. So let's have a look. So as I said, really happy with the size, really happy with the length. There is a tiny bit of gaping in the bust here, but it's not too much that I'm worried about, because I think if I went down a cup size, it would be too small. Also, this is only one layer of fabric. So if I had the lining, the underlining, and the top fashion fabric, things are going to get a little bit more cozy. So great. The main thing that I was a bit concerned about with the Liz dress was these straps, because I have quite a long torso, but then I have quite a short distance from my shoulder to my bust, so I was worried these were going to be a little bit too big, because they were on previous charm patterns that I've made. However, these are not falling down when I'm moving forwards or when I'm moving around. I think what I might do is take them in just a scant a scant half an inch at the top. I think that would make me feel more confident. Let's see. Yes, definitely. So that's the only adaptation I think I'm going to make to the pattern, but apart from that, how cute is this looking? And I'm really excited to get this mock-up finished now. So the only adjustment I'm going to make is to the top of the strap. So I'm going to grab my pattern piece, my gridded 2x18 inch ruler and a Sharpie, and let's make those adaptations to the shoulder straps. I'm so happy. So the only pieces that I need to adapt today are piece number 4, which is the front strap, and piece number 5, which is the back strap. Now, when I folded over the strap to adjust it when I was fitting, I folded over the strap half an inch, but because I folded it as it was created, that means what I need to do is take half an inch off of each of the tops of the pieces, piece number 4 and piece number 5. To do that, I'm grabbing my trusted gridded ruler and my Sharpie, a purple one today. It's a beautiful colour. So what I'm going to do is place my ruler and my pattern piece, and I'm going to mark at half an inch all the way along. And then I'm going to repeat the process on pattern piece 5. Then it's time to join up those dots. Then all I need to do is grab some scissors to make the adjustment. Simple as that. So my friends, a really successful fitting today on this beautiful spring day. And I think the sunshine has got Tulloons a bit too sleepy now because of all that sunshine. Yeah. I am so happy with how this Liz dress is fitting, and I cannot wait for part 2 that I'm going to share with you when I finish this mock-up of the Liz dress. But right now I'm off to unpick the strap and the bust piece for this, and then I'm going to sew all of these seams with my regular stitch length, which will then mean that I have all my lining pieces ready for part 2. So take care my friends, see you later, bye. Oh. Sleep some pup.